Well, hello, darlings. In case you didn't know, my name is DJ Beanz. You may have heard of me as the Boston Baked Bitch, the hip-hop Black Widow, the First Lady of New Crack Era, the Queen of the Underground, and also Holla at Beanz. And right now, you checking in on some real shit. You know what it is. This is the Great American Hip-Hop Debate Podcast. We ain't fucking around up in here, you know what I'm saying? Get familiar. Well, if you're listening, you're probably already familiar, but listen. If you're not familiar with me, go to their Instagram and find me or something, because I smoke too much and I can't remember my handle.
DJ Beanz.
Yeah, you know, keep it locked right here. You know what it is. Let's go.
Welcome world.
Hey.
Episode 60 of the Great American Hip Hop Debate Podcast.
60, wow.
I am Brother Burnz. To the left of me, I got the brother VS.
Yes, to the OP, you know what it be.
On the Checkin, we got the brother Bludshot, International Blood.
Cracking, my brothers, reporting live from YO.
Hey.
Rest in peace, DMX.
Facts.
Rest in peace, DMX, absolutely. And on the Checkin from the left coast, we have radio personality, DJ extraordinaire,
Empress of the Underground,
the First Lady of the New Crack Era.
That's right.
Producer, artist. She dropped an album.
She did.
Artist. DJ Beanz.
Welcome.
Hey, what's happening, babies? How you doing?
Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would call myself more of a composer than a producer, but
Composer.
you know.
We'll just add it to the list because, down the line, you're probably going to produce too. So.
Yep.
I mean, I'm trying to. Man, as soon as I got some time, it's definitely on the lineup.
Add it
definitely.
to the
That's
resume,
dope.
you know what I'm saying? You have a lot of
Absolutely.
accolades already. Congratulations on all the things you've already accomplished. Big things on the horizon. Much love and much success to you. And thank you for being here.
Yes.
Facts.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you guys having me for sure.
Absolutely.
As we stated earlier, just a quick rest in peace to DMX once again. The Dog,
Yep.
Darkman X,
R.I.P.
Earl Simmons, legend. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
R.I.P.
Big loss
Dog.
for hip hop, tragic.
Yeah.
You know, so love to him.
Very much.
Love and prayers to him, to his family, to his friends.
Word.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, DMX forever, yo.
Yeah, man.
It's
man.
it's like
Larger than life personality right there, man.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
This
it's
one
like that
hurts.
one hit. Yeah. Like this one hurt.
hurts,
You know,
yeah.
this was really
Yeah.
one of our
Yeah.
one of our guys and
Yeah,
shit.
we were outside when his music was popping.
Yeah,
and shit.
exactly. Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to everybody checking in on Spotify Podcasts. Shout out to everybody checking in on Apple Podcasts. Shout out to everybody checking in on YouTube. Make sure you hit like,
Shout out to fans.
the notifications, and subscribe. Shout out to the family as always. The Breath babies, the Breath wives, the Breath moms and dads.
Know it.
Shout out to everybody checking in on the socials. Make sure you're following the pages at GAHHD_podcast. Make sure you're following the brother F at EphraimR711. Shout out to Straight Fuego Studios as always.
Great Fuego.
Make sure you're following the brother at deadass_worldwide. Make sure you're following the brother at the real VSOP. That's a Twitter exclusive. Make sure you're following me at callme_Joseph_. And make sure you're following DJ Beanz at, is it at DJ Beanz? Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's a DJ_Beanz on Instagram and Holla at Beanz on Twitter.
And that's Beanz with a Z, so make sure you're spelling that
You're
properly.
damn right. Don't mess that up.
Don't mess the name
That
of not
niggas
B.
think it's B, motherfuckers.
You're damn right.
Now, DJ Beanz, you came up in Boston. That's not far from us, but it's far enough that it's a little different. So can you tell me like what coming up in Boston was like?
So I grew up mostly on the North Shore. I was born in Beverly. Shout out to John Glass, the producer. He's from Beverly too. But I lived mostly in the area like where Terminology and everybody's from, Lawrence. So I grew up on the North Shore, which is a little bit different than growing up inside of Boston. I lived in Boston for years. I bounced around a lot because I was in foster care. I was in group homes. I was a juvenile delinquent, so I spent a lot of time in juvie and stuff like that. So, yeah, you know. So I bounced around a lot. And, you know, living as many places as I've lived, the culture that Boston and New York and Philly have are three just different spots to me that just have this vibe to them that nowhere else has. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like a similar vibe, but
very distinct.
Different.
Very distinct.
Right.
Very distinct.
Right. So, you know, definitely a city girl. I love the city life. But as soon as I was basically like once I hit 19, because they let me out of juvie the day before my 18th birthday. And the judge said to me, you know, deep down, I know you're a good kid. Either I'm going to see you again in a week or you're never going to see me again. And I was like, Your Honor, you're never going to see me again. So I bounced and I moved to Florida for a couple of years. Yeah, I was starting to see so many of my friends because in Massachusetts, heroin has always been like a super epidemic. Yeah. So, you know, rest in peace to my father, my cousin, and so many of my friends, you know what I'm saying? So when it just got to a point that I was seeing it so much, I was like, I got to get out of here. I don't feel like I'm ever going to get anywhere in life if I stay in Boston.
Right.
So I had a chance to move to Florida just kind of on a whim, and I did it.
And this was at 19, right? You said
18.
Yeah. Yep. 19.
Oh, and 19. You ended up right near the Brother Blood in Tampa, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. So I was living in Clearwater. Fuck the Bucks. Okay. Listen. I'm a Raiders fan.
Yes. Fuck the Bucks.
Fuck him.
Fuck the. He denies his Buck fandom, and he knows
exactly.
that.
Sorry.
Under his Yankee jersey is a Bucks t-shirt.
He's got a Tom Brady shirt on.
And a Tom Brady tattoo.
Word.
Hey, first of all, these guys, don't listen to these guys. They know I rep New York hard. So they be hating. Because I live in Paradise, and they want me to go back to that.
He wanted us to call him Tampa Blood, but
we said no. We were like, no, we're not going to call you Tampa Blood.
I'm good. Gangsters get started and move to Tampa Bay.
There you go.
Man, listen. And I lived in Clearwater and I started DJing in Tampa. So I turned 21 out there. So believe me when I tell you, I was loving life because I was working my ass off. And so you're probably familiar with St. Pete. Yeah. So I ended up moving to St. Pete and I'm 20 years old. I got a 3-bedroom apartment. I got my whip. The joint got 2 pools. I got 2 fly little shorties living with me. Like I said, when I tell you I was living the life when I lived out there. Because you know what I'm saying? I was working nonstop, learning how to DJ. I was in the prime. So when I lived in Florida, I was living large. I got some fun Florida stories.
Awesome. Now,
what club did you do out here in Tampa Bay?
So basically, what ended up happening was I ended up randomly meeting these guys who were they were like EDM DJs. They did like hard house and stuff like that. So hanging out with them, I used to it was dope as hell because it was only their house and one of our other friends' houses on the whole street. So we used to just shut it down and have like bonfires and block parties and all this other stuff. So, you know, I would just go to their house and mess around on the turntables when they were having meetings and stuff like that. And I started gravitating towards drum and bass and jungle because my passion's always been hip hop. I wasn't really into like the house and all that stuff unless, you were doing some drugs and stuff like that.
The good drugs.
I love drugs.
Like, drugs. So I ended up, I just started buying like drum and bass records and stuff like that. And I would kind of, I know this can be a touchy subject, but I was kind of like the Africa Bambaataa, like feeding them records. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
did you carry crates, DJ Beanz?
Yes, and this is where it all begins.
Okay, see,
this is where the crate carrying begins.
That makes you official.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
These new DJs, I don't know, man. If they don't carry crates,
I'm not really.
I look at them a little.
Thank you. So somebody randomly hit me up on Instagram yesterday, and I'm really bad with checking my DMs, but I saw his DM, and he was like, would you ever be interested in teaching somebody to DJ? And I was like, I just don't have the time. I said, but what I'm going to tell you, the best advice I can give you is learn without Serato.
Yes,
right, exactly.
And that was it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So for me, Serato wasn't out yet when I learned how to DJ. So I learned on one belt drive technique and one direct drive. Wow. So it's funny because if you ever watch me DJ now, because I noticed it a few years ago, and my boy Bobby Avila is the one who pointed it out and was like, "Oh, you heavy-handed. You learned on a belt drive turntable, huh?"
Yes.
Because if you watch me DJ on my right hand, I still push off.
Yes. Right.
And it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just because I'm used to it having that lag.
I started on belt drive turntables too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
You got to push, like you said. You got to push.
But the advantage to that is, it ends up helping you being a little bit better, I think, anyway, for me, like with your blend times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it makes you have to learn how to time things a little bit differently.
Yes. Right.
So, so basically at that point, I think I might have had maybe a whole crate of records that I had been buying just for when, they would DJ and I would want to hear something. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, play this.
Right.
So I kind of started promoting for them. So, I'd pick up the flyers. I'd go down to Ybor City in Tampa, hand out the flyers and all that. Ybor, listen, it's where I started. So it always got a place in my heart.
Tampa blood.
Man,
Tell
listen.
these guys, they don't know.
Ybor City is something else when I tell you.
Yeah.
So Blood might be familiar with the marketplace. So the Ybor marketplace is outside. So it's kind of like I don't know what the names of the clubs are now, but I used to like DJ at Masquerades and I'd go to Hot Wax. Masquerades is still there?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So one of the first times I DJ'd there was when Girls Gone Wild was like really, really big.
Oh,
so one of the nights that I was DJing, they were filming there. So like I was trying not to be distracted by all the titties flying around everywhere. But, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Great.
So, they do the, what is it called? The Gasparilla? It's like Mardi Gras or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. So I miss Tampa. I miss Ybor City. So basically one day they sent me to go pick up flyers. So I go to pick up the flyers and I checked them before I left the store. And I was like, who the fuck is DJ Deluxe? I was like, nah, this is wrong. There's typos on there. And they were like, no, they're right. They confirmed them. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever you say. So I bring the flyers back to the boys and I'm like, yo, who's the DJ Deluxe? And it was DLUXXX. Okay. So I'm like, who the fuck? Obviously, it's probably gonna be some big titty bitch, whatever. These motherfuckers
spinning with her titties and shit.
So these guys say to me, they say, well, actually, we just decided to pick a name for you because you're going to do the break set tonight. You're going to do, because every Friday and Saturday, we would set up in the marketplace. We'd bring a generator and all that stuff. And they would give us 2 hours to DJ in the marketplace.
Nice.
So it was dope because we didn't get paid. They just allowed us to do it. Right. So, everybody has to walk by the marketplace because it's smack dab in the middle of where all the major clubs are and everything.
Exactly.
So I was like, what do you mean I'm DJing? Panic attacks all on the inside. Felt like I was up you.
Butterflies, stomach ache, all that shit.
You were Deluxe.
Man, when I tell you. And I was like, why the name? And they were like, we just thought of something on the fly. And I was like, okay, well, we're not going to run with that.
Yeah, we're going to switch that up.
Okay, so tonight, okay, I'm DJ Deluxe. Okay, whatever you say. So basically, this is just a feeling that I will never, ever forget. So, people weren't always dancing in there and stuff. They're sitting around, people are grabbing food, they're chilling, whatever it may be.
Right.
So,
it's more like a vibe dancing. Thing, right?
Right. Because it's outside. Right, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's basically ambiance. Like when you're playing in the subway type of shit. You know what I mean? Right. So, yeah. So, break set comes up, it's time, and they're like, okay, you ready? And at the time, there was no Beanz. They used to call me Boston and stuff like that. So they were like, all right, Boston, you ready? And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm not ready. And like, even right now, my hands start shaking just thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how were you physically? Like,
physically,
butterflies, sweating.
I'm surprised that I didn't throw up on the turntables. And I'll be honest with you, still to this day, before a show, I get crazy butterflies and stuff, but it's really dope because Chuck D said it himself. Once you start losing that anxiety and that little bit of scared shit before you hit the stage, you've lost your passion. So I'm like, I've accepted it now, but then, oh no, I thought I was gonna puke everywhere. I was so scared. So, I get up there and I decided, I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with my favorite record because it was a record that I knew would probably loosen me up. So I'm sorry. It wasn't the first, it was a different, I can't remember the exact song I dropped first, but I knew what my second one was gonna be so I could kind of stop shaking and hopefully not fuck up. So the second song I decided to drop, it's the original Nutter VIP remix by Patchy at UGK. So the shit was it's just bananas when that shit drops. And I happened to be one of the only people that had it on wax because it was a very limited edition. Okay. So I dropped it and I'm scared. I'm not looking up or anything. And as soon as that beat dropped, I looked up. Look, I got the same chills every time I tell this story. I looked up and everybody that was sitting there just got off their feet and started dancing. And when I tell you that there is I've yet to feel a feeling like that again in my life. Like I told you, this was 20 years ago, and I got the same exact chills as that day, and that was the day that I was like, oh my God, I think I found my calling.
Yeah, you were hooked.
And that's dope. And I was only on for another 15 minutes, but the whole time everybody was dancing. Right. So awesome. I did a lot of Aphrodite remixes with the Fugees and stuff like that. So my stuff was, the stuff I played, I guess nowadays it's kind of compared to dubstep. Right. But if you're familiar with jungle and drum and bass, yeah.
Very Tampa dubstep, very Tampa So it's got kind of the same electronic wave as downtown New York back in the day, the Limelight, stuff like that. Yeah.
And very, very heavy drums. You know what I'm saying? So that's I think what drew me to that. So that's where it all began. And then I decided after that, I was like, okay, we're gonna drop this deluxe shit. And I went with calling myself DJ Soldata, which means soldier in Italian or Spanish, whichever one you want to go with. But I'm Sicilian, so so we went with that. That's what's up.
And how long did you rock with that name?
I want to say, let's say they renamed me. So I stayed in Tampa for another year. I moved back to Boston for a couple years, and then I moved to the DC area. So I moved to DC in 2005, and I want to say in maybe 2007 is when they decided to name me DJ Beanz. And it was the same scenario, but everybody used to call me Beantown. And people used to call me Beanz. So I worked with, this is the best too, because this is the best energy drink in the world. There's this bar out there in DC called Fur. And I used to DJ and bartend there to the point that they actually built me my own bar next to the booth. So I could do both at the same time.
That's dedication.
And now remember, hustle. Right. Remember this same club, because this is the club that also made me switch to Serato. So basically, I was working with these guys that had this energy drink, and it was called Some Pussy. And let me tell you, it's SUMPOOSIE, and it had a pink cat on the can. And this shit was so fire. It was strawberry Red Bull. So I used to go around the club, and I'd be like, hey, anybody want some pussy? And they'd be like, huh? And I used to just make so much money off of doing some pussy shots. Right. So, So
that's awesome.
So I was working with this group, and they kind of linked me in as the Some Pussy DJ. So we used to do all these shows. We used to do this one joint. We had a naked sushi girl. It was crazy. So same thing. So the flyers come out. Oh, I wish I had. It's in the other room. I just found it the other day. So it said on the flyer DJ Beanz. And I was like, oh, I said, so you renamed me? And he was like, yeah, we renamed you. We were like, you're Beanz, you're Beantown, you're DJ Beanz from this day forward. So that's it. I was given the name.
Yeah,
so
that's a dope name, though.
Okay.
Yes.
Now from DJ Deluxe to DJ Beanz, all along you were honing your craft, doing clubs and everything. From the first time that they let you do the break, they then continued to let you rock other spots.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was back to Florida. I decided to try to pick up and do a little more hip hop and stuff like that. I was still doing the drum. I was a really big drum and bass DJ after a little bit down in Tampa. Like I opened for some big names like Diesel Boy, DJ Irene. I opened for a lot of really dope people. And then, I just kind of decided that I wanted to follow my passion. So I started working on the hip hop a little more. And so wait, what was the point of that? See, I just started rambling.
The ultimate question was like that you were basically learning the craft, like honing your skills.
So look. I'm sorry, I get rambling. Quick, I get sidetracked.
No, I do too. Before you get to answering that question, do you remember when you bought your first equipment?
When I bought my first equipment?
Yeah, like your own set of turntables.
Yes.
And stuff?
So okay. Well, all right, going back real quick. So this is when I was doing the clubs and everything, and in Florida, I entered a contest called Who Wants to Be a DJ? Because I was using these guys' turntables. Right, so anytime I had gigs and stuff, the clubs would have them, and I was using my friends' turntables. I didn't need them yet. So I won this contest in Florida called Who Wants to Be a DJ? And then my first day on the air, they made me play the same Lil Wayne song 5 different times. And I was like, okay, so I have no creative freedom here. And I just told them, I was like, this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. So that's when I decided, okay, terrestrial radio might not be my move. So that's when I moved back to Boston, the DJing kind of got put on hold because I went to go help with family and stuff. So I couldn't afford equipment or anything at the time. So it just kind of dwindled for the couple of years that I was there. Then when I moved to Virginia, I ended up getting my first set. I got Newmarks. I got TTXs because they got the straight arm. They were only, I want to say maybe like $250 a piece. Right. And so I grabbed them and I grabbed a Behringer mixer. Okay. And then I started doing like house parties and stuff like that. So
and you had your vinyl?
I had so much vinyl at that point because at that point I just started buying it, to feed the other guys. And then once I started actually getting my own gigs, Hot Wax in Ybor City is pretty much where I went for everything. I know there was a couple of companies that like they ordered stuff for me through and stuff like that, but I definitely had my crates. I was lugging crates, and it was. You want to talk about organization, like debating: do I bring all 5 crates with me? Do I just bring these 2 crates? Wow. But God forbid you leave one crate behind that has that one song that would have set it off.
You need everything. You need everything.
Do you still have your vinyl?
So this is another crazy story. So back in Virginia, so I had an ex-boyfriend who he was DJing too, and he was from Boston. We ended up moving to Virginia together. So he had his turntables then before I bought mine. So when he'd be at work and stuff, I'd mess around on his decks. And at one point when we broke up, supposedly there was a storage unit that was being paid for. And when I went to go finally pick up my stuff, the guy was like, yeah, that storage unit got auctioned off a long time ago. Wow. All of my crates were in here. Now, here's something super dope. Other than like the one crate I think I had with me, which wasn't even full, because I was on the move trying to find my own spot. So about, I want to say maybe like 6-7 years ago, a friend of mine, shout out to Dia in Virginia, hit me up and was like, yo, you are never going to guess what I just found. And I said, what? He was like, I just found an entire crate of records and your name is written on every single one of them. What? So I grabbed them. Wow. What? Are you serious?
Wow. That's insane.
Yes.
That's insane.
So he still, to this day, he hits me up and he's like, Beanz, I got your records. And I'm like, yo, trust me, when I come to VA, because I'm not putting them shits in the mail. I'm coming to get them. So I was like, I got to come back and visit soon anyway. So yo,
so all the records said DJ Deluxe on them?
No, this was DJ Beanz. I was DJ Beanz. Matter of fact, though, no, I don't think I was right because I think I learned to write my name on records after I started doing clubs in DC. So
tell us about when you got to the DMV. After you left your boyfriend and the records was gone, what was the next move?
So I was bartending at the time. I was actually one of like the top bartenders out there. So I was really just DJing here and there, like little house parties, little bars. little lounges and stuff like that, like hookah bars and stuff like that. And then I started getting the bigger gigs in DC back in the day, well, not back in the day, but back then, U Street was real popping. Like U Street was where you would go for like the underground and stuff like that. Like I'm from Boston and I didn't even meet Mr. Lift until I was living in DC and I was DJing on U Street one time. Okay. So I linked up with some people out there. They go by Top Dog Hill.
Shout out to them.
It was on Georgia Ave, right by Howard University and everything. So I linked up with them and they just fucked with me so hard. They were like, oh yeah, you're going to DJ for us. So I would DJ in the tattoo shop, and I'd be doing all these clubs and everything like that. So that's when I really started loving the underground world because the talent in DC is and was incredible. So I'm coming across all this non-mainstream hip hop that was just amazing. And everybody that would come through the tattoo shop and stuff like that, they all had skills. There was so much talent.
Okay.
So I ended up putting a mixtape together. I don't know if you guys want to hear this story yet, but it was my first mixtape and it was a flop.
Next on the list is mixtapes.
Yeah.
So, okay. So still, I had just switched to Serato. And because that Club Fur that I was telling you about, their main dance floor is elevated. They had, I think, maybe 4 or 5 different rooms. And one night I was booked on the main dance floor. So Serato had just come out maybe a little over a year ago. And I was that stubborn, hard-headed, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm records, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So to get to this DJ booth, you had to walk through the men's room and there was a ladder, and it's not even a ladder. It was just like whatever the prongs, whatever they're called, the rings on the wall, just straight up,
some rickety rackety shit.
Yeah.
How the fuck am I supposed to climb up that myself? And back then, I only DJ'd in stilettos. I DJ'd like, I don't care if it was a 6-hour set. I'm rocking my stilettos. Wow. So I got on a dress. I got on stilettos. I got 5 crates of records with me and 2 security guards. I was like, how are we going to do this? How do DJs do this?
And you got to scale a wall.
Yeah.
So somebody had to climb up there. It took like 4 of us I was like, you guys do this every time somebody DJs up here? And they were like, well, nowadays people just bring a computer. And I was
yeah. Boo.
And I was like, all right, I get it. I went out and got Serato the next day. So, so I'm learning.
It's not the same though.
It's still not. It's still like, I literally just upgraded my mixer recently to like, I still had my SL1 box. I was still using Scratch Live, like the very first version up until literally like a year ago. And other reasons too. I had to get other software being on tour and stuff, but I'm stubborn with that shit. So like, I get it now. Like,
those programs seem to like do so much of the job for the DJs. Right. You know what I mean?
Make it so much easier.
Yeah, like literally, it practically mixes for you.
Basically.
When I found out they put out the sync button, let me just tell you, me and a group of DJs back in these same days in DC, there was a group of us that we used to bully DJs for that shit. We'd be like, take DJ off your name. You're not really a DJ. Like, we've made a few DJs drop DJ from their name. Like, when I tell you, we're going to talk about turntable bullies for real.
Yo, for real though.
But
yeah, and I still like, even if I did hit that sync button, I don't know how the fuck that shit works. I don't even like, I don't even get that. So I guess I'll give them props on the technical side. But
it sucks because it's like, you got to think about it this way. It's something that you took years to master, to become a master of. And now somebody can basically come and within a month or so, they are at the same level as you. And, they can do everything you can do. I'm like, come on. Not really. No, obviously, you can actually do it. They're just assisted by the computer.
Yeah. But the one thing that they'll never the 2 things, because first of all, even the Serato vinyl doesn't feel like a real vinyl, like an actual record. It just feels.
And I even got the straight up black one.
Yeah,
because I have so many versions, and it's still not the same. And it's still not the same.
They don't get the like the historical importance of it. You know what I mean? Because the DJ was like the genesis of hip hop, and it's like when you're up there, you are in control. I got the
elements tattooed back there. I got the elements of hip hop.
Half of these DJs don't even know the elements.
Exactly.
Right, they're like, what element?
Yeah. What are you talking about? The Fifth Element? Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Facts.
But back to the mixtape flop.
Oh yeah. So that also opened up the days of undercutting DJs. So like the iPod DJs and shit like that are going now, like where I used to easily be able to get $500 a night. These iPod DJs going in and taking it for $100. So promoters are being cheap and not wanting to book.
Yeah.
So I used to always, I recorded mixtapes for, a long time. It was always basically like just a ghetto process of plugging it in and recording it through, if I'd go to my friends with Pro Tools or whatever it may be. So I had tons of, I've been dropping mixtapes for a minute. So now we're coming into the digital age and, people are telling me like, Beanz, now you got to start dropping your mixtapes digitally and all this other stuff. So I was like, okay, you're right. So this is when I decided to do the whole, it was called DMV Disciples. And it was me putting together all of the hottest underground artists in DC. So when I tell you like between my promo and all the people that I had on it, I had this shit so hyped up. Like everybody was ready. They were ready. So we had a little studio in the back of the tattoo shop and I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to record. But at the time, the engineer that we had, he didn't know how to record DJs. So I just tried to do it myself and I just tried to wing it. To make a long story short, I didn't know how to like cut tracks correctly, to track out your mix and stuff like that. So I ended up fucking everything up on it. So I just like added some echo onto the end of a few of them or whatever, bounced them all out as waves, like fucked up my whole mix and put it on a CD. But I was still excited about it because I was like, yo, the tracks are fire. So I'm giving it out. I dropped the link online and I'd say maybe 2 days later, shout out to DJ Yakor, who is a mentor of mine for a long time. He's not really doing stuff actively now, but he's just a super dope DJ. And I used to be a part of the Fleet DJs, and so was he. So we had like a really big connection with the DJs. Yeah. So I noticed like he unfollowed me and all this other shit, and I hit him up, and I'm like, "What did I do?" And he was like, "Beanz." He goes, I asked about you. He goes, I know so many people who have seen you DJ live and said you're dope as fuck. He said, what the fuck was that thing that you just dropped? That wasn't a mixtape. And I was like, huh? And he was like, your mix isn't blended together. You dropped everything in wave form. He started going in on me and I was like, oh my God. I was like, yo, I didn't know. I was like, I didn't have an engineer. I just tried to do it myself. And he goes, okay. He goes, I'm going to give you the best advice I could ever give you. And that's make Google your best friend. And so ever since that day, he mentored me through a lot. But I taught myself everything. So now, from there forward, it was like, okay, so I take my mixtapes real seriously. So at first I was still going through an engineer and stuff like that. There was a point in time that I was kind of struggling. So I had my turntables were on the floor. I was recording on the floor. So if like you hear some of my old mixtapes, it's funny because you can hear like my needle skip a couple times and stuff like that. And that's when I was like, okay, now I got to thoroughly go Serato because it's the only way I'm going to be able to do this, correctly.
Digitally,
and yeah, exactly. So yeah, so history from there. But never do that again.
The needle skip is like, it adds character and realness to the.
It just makes you that much better of a DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your
Appreciate
DJ
that.
mentor's name? I'm sorry.
DJ Yakor. It's
Yakor.
YK. It's Rocky spelled backwards.
Okay. Shout out to him and
Yeah.
shout out to all
Yeah.
of the DJs out there who have mentored others. Shout out to DJ Tez. He served as my DJ mentor, and I think that's another thing that's missing from these so-called DJs of today is the mentorship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Huge.
someone actually. First of all, they don't teach you first. First, you got to carry the crates for like a good 2 months and prove your
crates?
hunger. Yeah,
DKK crates.
That's what I mean. They're lacking that. Back in the day, a DJ, if you wanted to get down with him, if you wanted to be part of his team or be mentored by him, first you had to earn that shit by carrying the crates for a few months to let them know you were serious. Yeah, and then they would let you on. And they normally had like a Fugi setup, like a less, like a cheaper setup.
Okay.
And they were like, practice on that shit.
Yeah.
You're not gonna touch the techniques right away. Practice on
Like on Gemini instead of technique.
Practice on the Gemini. BD10
BD10.
belt drive.
Yes, yes. That's pretty much like my ex. That's what he had, the Gemini joints. So even then he was picky with those too. But yeah, you weren't allowed to touch the technique.
Hey, did your belt ever snap on you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was, I think, and that was the only thing that I know how to fix. Shout out to my boy DJ Abel out here in LA. I call him the turntable whisperer. That man can fix anything. When I tell you the techniques that are behind me right now, that's the first set of techniques I've ever bought, and I've had them rewired and regrounded and all that so many times at this point.
And they still rock?
Man, Abel just gave me a straight up tune-up a few months back. Whew,
Nice.
They like butter, baby. They like butter. Yes.
12s and real vinyl are like,
exactly.
Yeah, like bread and butter, like you said. It just
absolutely. And there's nothing like the sound of wax either.
No,
like even if you're just listening to it, nothing like it.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
So that was a question I had. Since y'all both DJ, is the quality. Can you tell that quality like at a live party? Like if somebody's using Serato, if somebody's using the actual, old school wax, can you tell the quality in the mixing and maybe the music? Is it different?
DJ Beanz?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely. What's dope is one of the things that made me fall in love with LA is so when you're in just a big ass club and they're just playing regular old hip hop or whatever it may be, you really don't notice that much of a difference until a night like, for example, rest in peace to Dave New York. That is my G. I came out here. He flew me out for one of his birthday parties. And that night, DJ Newmark, Babu, and Rhythmatic had all 45 sets. Nice. So they would play every record that you heard was a 45. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you them being my freaking idols and stuff like that, I was so intrigued and blown away because I hadn't seen that. Because even when I was growing up, I wasn't old enough to be in the clubs to see when people were spinning with 45s and stuff like that. Right. So wherever I wasn't seeing this kind of this part of the craft being flexed live. Mm-hmm. So
explain to the people what a 45 is, real quick.
It's a 7-inch. So it's those little small records that you guys see. Yeah. So. I wish I had one behind me, but you have to have the 45 adapter. So if you guys ever see this little squiggly little circle thing, it's a 45 adapter, right. Because it doesn't fit on your turntable without it. Right.
The small has a big circle. Yep.
Yes, and the thing is with 45s, because like me coming from the crate digging age, like when I tell you I got white label Nas records, I got a white label 50 Cent joint. White labels and those 45 singles would just, I mean, if you could get your hands on specific ones, wow, like you were that shit as a DJ. That's when I learned you had to start writing your name on records, because if another DJ is there, they will go in your crate and jack that shit.
And that was the exclusivity of the music. Remember Beanz, at a time DJs would like cover or...
Yes.
The name of the record.
Yeah.
They
so
wouldn't
so you wouldn't know what they're spinning.
They weren't trying to say.
Exactly.
Right. So you wouldn't know what they're spinning.
Exclusives were exclusives, and I had some of them. So I had the Dim Not Ready joint with Sean Paul and 50 Cent, and that wasn't even out yet, and I had the white label for that. Wow. So I actually recently, not recently, but a few years ago, I learned that Serato has that mode. So you can make it so where the record is being displayed on the screen, you can make it a white label so people can't see what you're playing.
Nice.
Wow.
I always wondered about that.
There you go.
Still not the same, but it's still, when I saw that, I was like, okay,
that's a nice little callback right
least,
there.
Because the Serato, it's pretty big. Like It's pretty noticeable.
Uh-huh.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, back to the question, the sound of the...
So that night, it was just the most incredible feeling, because not only did I become friends with all these DJs after, but it drew me this different respect for that side of it, because I couldn't do an all 45 set. No way.
Right.
And these dudes rocked the entire night with nothing but 45s. There was not a computer in the building. There was no computers.
That's insane.
So you're hearing these like fire ass Nas joints that you haven't heard in a minute, and you're like, oh my God, he got this on a 45? Like, what? So the only other person that I've ever seen with a 45 collection like Newmarks is Adrian Young. Okay. Wow. Adrian Young, I went to, and I went to his store for Record Store Day one year. And shout out to Adrian Young. I love him so much. He's such a humble dude.
He's an animal.
Yeah. So he got a Louis Vuitton holder for his 45. But he came out in style when I tell you when he came out rocking them joints. But it's really dope to see DJs do that. So I would say between the sound and the ambiance of it all, huge difference. Like you could definitely tell it wasn't a Serato night. You know what I'm saying? You can hear the little crackles here and there. And I love that. I love when I hear that sound, it's vintage and I love it.
It gives the music character.
And it's the same now too. Like, don't get me wrong. I love, it's more of a collector's time. So, them coming out with all these crazy colored records and stuff like that. So for me, DJs that didn't have Serato, we used to have to buy doubles because if you want to be able to actually if you want to be able to juggle, if you want to be able to run it back and all that stuff, you had to buy doubles. Right. But back then, LPs and singles, we're talking shit. I got one of those white labels for 99 cents at a bodega in Brooklyn. Wow. So now, and I understand why, artists charge so much for records now. It's completely understandable. I'm not mad at it, but you can't really buy doubles anymore. So, that's why when artists give the option to get the black record or the colored one, it ends up kind of being a struggle for me because I'm like, do I want to get two? So I got the black one and then have the colored one. But you can tell the difference in the quality of those too, even though now at least they're doing the 180 gram vinyls with the colored ones and stuff. So that helps keep some of the sound quality. Right. But, and like I said, that's more for the collectors, but you can totally tell the difference. And that's why I worked with Serato for a minute. So they were giving me, I got so many ill Serato vinyls. My favorite is my I got this J Dilla joint it's Serato vinyl on one side and it's Dilla tracks on the other.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So
and it actually plays?
I thought I came up with that idea back when I was DJing for Bishop Lamont. I was like, yo, you know what we should do?
Right.
We should drop your single and then have it be Serato on the other side. So I called to talk to somebody and they were like, oh, why don't you come by here real quick? And they were like, yeah, we have all these for you. We already do that. And I was like, at least I know it was a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even then, there's certain colored Serato vinyls. I used to have Skittles. Like when I tell you I got my custom DJ Beanz joints, I had red, blue, orange, clear. I had everything. And then I still had to go back and use the black Serato vinyl because it's still heavier and it's still, I think they've
yeah, I was gonna say it's the closest thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they've done a good job with improving it, but it's still, like you say, it's never the same. And if your Serato lags for 1 second, it's, it's still not the same as dragging it back to your cue point that you got your little marker on there and all that stuff. So, but
and to answer your question, Mook, Blood, the vinyl it has a wider sound. It's a fuller sound. When it goes digital, something in the process almost flattens everying out.
Yeah,
it's compressed.
I got the perfect word. It makes it sound sterile.
Yeah,
very sterile.
So like you were saying earlier, when there's a lot of people that they'll just chill and sit back and play their vinyls. Not like DJ, but just around the house. And, and it's because the sound quality it fills the house more. And
exactly,
it's just awesome. Vinyl is forever. You know what I'm saying? That's just gonna last forever. And every few years it makes a hot comeback. For a stretch,
of course,
and then it'll die down. DJ Beanz, you started with the bass music with the drums. Then you got into hip hop. Then you got into underground hip hop. But in 2016, you won the Best R&B DJ award.
I did.
How did that come about, and how did that feel?
So actually, that was amazing. It felt really, really good, especially because I won it off of only dropping one R&B tape that year.
Oh,
wow! So you're one for one then.
Right, because I do a lot of dance hall and stuff like that too. So underground is my passion, but I'm really dope with dance hall and R&B and stuff like that. But prior to that, I've actually been nominated for so many awards. But that one, and back in 2011, I won Most Grinding DJ.
Yeah, that's actually the next one on my list. I think I think well deserved, because if you're DJing and bartending at the same time, you're serious about your shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was different. This was when I tell you I was so busy. I was actually transitioning out of bartending at that point because the DJ career had taken off. So when I won that award, I've kind of told this story a lot, so I don't want to I don't want to bore you, but to make a long story short, at the time, when I won that award, I was up for 13 other awards, and I had walking pneumonia, and I was actually supposed to be on bed rest.
Wow.
And I was 29, I was living in Richmond, and I'll never forget because it was right before my 30th birthday. So I used to DJ for this guy, Sean Hines, and Mass Mike Miles back in Boston. And I was living in Virginia, and that night I had a show in Richmond, and then I had to go do like a ladies' night in DC as the closing set. And then the next day was my it was the day before my birthday, and I had to be in Boston to do a show with Miles and Sean.
All with pneumonia?
Walking pneumonia, yes.
Yikes.
Yes.
You a trooper.
And being up for 13 awards. So that's, at the time, I was also like the #1 internet radio DJ because I was on 7 days a week on all these different stations. So, so that was all pre-recording for the most part. So I had to pre-record all these shows, all these weeks. I wasn't stopping. I was not stopping. You could not stop me. I would travel alone and do all this by myself. So I went and I did the show in Richmond. I had at the time, it was the best hookup ever. I had first class on Amtrak anywhere they went. So I hopped on an Amtrak real quick, got to DC, did my closing set. Then I went to Union Station, hopped on Amtrak again and went to Boston.
Wow.
So my dad was still alive at the time. And I had told him I'm just going to come stay with you for the night because I'm only there for 2 days. So I get there and then I had to take like a regular train to get to Beverly where my dad lives. And all I remember is I was walking off the train and the next thing I remember was I woke up in the hospital. And so the doctors basically ended up telling me, and what's crazy is my whole life, because of the way my life was, I never thought I would make it to my 30th. Right. So this was literally the day before my 30th birthday. And
so close.
When I woke up in
wow.
When I woke up in the hospital, the doctor was like, he was like, we found your ID and everything, but we didn't know who to call. Is there anybody that you could call to come and get you? And I was just like, no, I have somewhere to be tonight. I have to work. And they were like, they said, do you understand what just happened? Right. They said, if you weren't where you were when you collapsed, you would have died. Wow. They said your lungs were full of fluid. We had to drain them. Wow. So they were like, you probably aren't going to be going to work tonight. Yeah, my ass. Yeah, right. I definitely, soon as I was like, yeah, somebody's picking me up. Somebody's picked me up. I stayed in the hospital, had my little IV, all that. And then I went to my dad's, dropped off my suitcase, and then I went and I did the show. And then I went back to Virginia.
There you go, Mom. So you really are DJ Soldado.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's it,
There you go,
I felt like that was the name. That was the name for me.
So that award was well earned. Most grinding.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And what's crazy is, who was the DJ? Pretty Boy Tank. So Pretty Boy Tank, he's real big in Atlanta and stuff like that. I think you want to say he was DJ for Young Dolph and stuff like that. So what's funny is my PR at the time, shout out to Miss E. She's one of my very good friends. She had to go accept the award for me, but apparently they announced that Pretty Boy Tank won the award. What? And then everybody was blowing up this company or whatever and was like, nah, DJ Beanz won that. And they came on and they were like, well, she only won by 1 vote. And I was like,
you still won.
Yeah, but
I still won.
Yeah.
So my PR went down to Atlanta and accepted the trophy for me. And what's crazy is it's sitting next to me. It's the only trophy I managed to save out of all the awards that I won. It looks like shit. It's so damaged. It's so dusty. It broke. One of the stars broke off of it, but I keep it on my desk as a memory of the fact that
That's the
I
one.
literally
You
almost died.
Yeah, exactly.
For this shit, so yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
God bless
So-
it, man.
You earned your
So
stripes.
I wish I had all the other little awards and stuff I won, but that's the only one I managed to hang on to all these years. But it has sentimental value.
Exactly. I feel like if there was one to hang on to, that was the one right there.
Yeah, the one
Thank
you
you.
almost died for.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
When did you get into touring as a DJ touring?
So I used to do a lot of East Coast runs with he went by White Folks at the time, Folks now. I don't think he's really rapping anymore, but he was really big in the underground in DC. So me and Folks and like a couple of other underground artists, we would just do shows up and down the East Coast, mostly, I'd say like DC, Baltimore, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, just little shows like that. So it was just mini runs, not big tours. And I really, really enjoyed it. And then one day I was DJing in Richmond, and I'll never forget, I was playing, that night I knew like Wise P from the Ranges was supposed to be there, and like some other like kind of OG rappers or whatever. And I'm DJing and I'm playing Wu Gambinos, and I knew Wise P walked in the building because I see this fucking mink coat. I think it was red. I'm pretty sure it was a red mink coat. So I see him walk into the building with his entourage, and I was like, okay, Wise P's in the building. So, I'm getting ready to pull up some old Jay-Z and shit. Mm-hmm. And then before I could even do it, I just hear somebody say, hey, who's the DJ right now? Mind you, I'm in front of the turntables.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have headphones on, and it's Wise P. And I just looked at him and I said, isn't it obvious?
Yeah.
And he goes, he said, wait a minute, you're playing Wu Gambinos right now? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, wow. He was like, all right, dope. So, he walks away. I continue on with my set. And then when I got off the turntables, he was like, yo, you dope as fuck. He was like, I don't hear male DJs play the stuff that you were playing. So me and him started talking, and he was like, yo, he had a show. We did Static Select is his other DJ, but we had a show in Boston one time with Static, and Wise hit me and was like, yo, because I'd moved back to Boston. He was like, yo, I want you to DJ for me or whatever. So I was like, bet, got you.
Nice.
So we did the show at the Middle East. And then after that is when, because I had moved back to Boston from DC. So I'd been there for a couple of years. And that's when things were getting crazy. My dad OD'd, died on heroin. My grandfather was in a coma at the time. He died day before my birthday. It was just getting wild. And I was just like, thank you. And I was just like, you know what? Like, it was the same reason I wanted to move before.
Right.
And at the time, I was DJing for Bishop Lamont. So although he was in LA and I was in Boston, we didn't have a lot of shows and stuff, but we were doing mixtapes, and they would fly me out to LA for, anything that we needed to do. We had like a show in Atlanta, like I would fly out of Boston and meet them there, whatever. So, small touring. So at that point, I was going to LA so much that I was just like, yo, I'm ready to go again. I don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
With all the death and everything once again, I was like, this is why I left in the first place.
Right.
So Wise ended up hitting me up. This was so dope. He ended up hitting me up and was like, yo, I just got put on the Smokers Club tour. And I was like, at the time, the lineup was Method Man, Redman, Be Real, there was a lot of people on that lineup, and Burner got, so Burner got added to it a little bit later on. So he was like, do you want to be my DJ for this tour? And I was like, is a pig's asshole bored? So so I'm looking at the schedule, and I think we had I can't even remember exactly what all the East Coast dates were, but I just know that we had Chicago was the last one on the East Coast. And when I was plotting the schedule, and I was like, yo, there's 5 days off between Chicago and the last run of the tour is on the West Coast. So the last 10 shows were all West Coast. And I just decided, I was like, yo, I'm going to drive cross country and just move to LA. That's what I'm going to do. So I hit up one of my homegirls. And I was like, yo, do you want to drive cross country with me? And then, I'll fly you back or whatever. I hit up Bishop, and I was like, yo, while I'm on tour, can I just leave my car parked at your house and all this stuff, just real simple. And I was like, yeah, I'll just start looking for places when I get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really not tripping.
Wow.
So that's exactly what I did. So, and I made it cross country in 3.5 days, just with me and one of my homegirls. We stopped one time and like actually slept overnight. I can't remember what state we were in, but it was snowing really bad. So we were like, all right, let's stop for the night. Got up, kept going. And then one other time we had to stop because we were driving through Nevada or something and the mountains were so dark and scary. I was like, yo, we're going to drive off a cliff. So we just stopped at a truck stop and people watched and got a little munchy food and stuff like that. Nice. And then boom, made it to LA the day before we had to be, I think Humboldt County ended up being my first stop too. And it was really crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
That ain't no joke, man.
Man.
Congratulations.
So, it was really dope. So, you know, me and Wise and our boy took, it was just the three of us. And then the dude he hired to, you know, drive the Sprinter. So we pretty much took the Sprinter everywhere. I don't think we really I don't think we really flew anywhere. Except for, I'll never forget Chicago, because I thought I left the bud that I got Chicago. Let me shout out Chicago, because y'all want to talk about LA. Chicago got some of the most fire weed I've ever smoked in my life. So
shout out to Chicago bud.
Shout out to Chicago, but the one time I went out there, I couldn't find no weed, and I was sad as fuck.
I might have gotten lucky because of being the DJ on the tour.
True.
You know, that might have been why I got lucky.
Yeah.
Right.
You ain't got no stains.
So when I tell you, this shit was so funky. And so for this flight, and I think Wise and Took stayed in Chicago, and they were like, well, we'll meet you in LA or whatever. Cause I was like, you know, I had to be back in Boston I wasn't DJing, but I had a show like to go meet up with like Papoose and Remy and all them, Term and all them. So I was like, yeah, as soon as I touch down, that's what I have to do. So I was like, y'all can keep my trees or whatever. So I get like, Wise don't smoke, but Took did. So I leave the trees. I had to go through 2 major international airports. I had a layover somewhere else. So it was Chicago and some other airport. So I had hit up one of the homies to come pick me up. For some reason, they didn't answer the phone. I was like, oh, fuck, man, I got to get home. I had to call my mom, of all people. And mind you, me and my mom just started getting along a few years before this, and I find out it's because she married a DJ, so he loosened her up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Talk about karma.
Exactly.
Right? So I was real lucky to be able to like call my mom and be like, yo, like, I really need you to pick me up from the airport right now. I don't know why nobody's around. So I get in the whip, and I said, man, y'all been smoking. Yeah. And my mom was like, you know I don't smoke weed. She was like, that shit gives me the munchies and a headache, and I go to sleep. I don't smoke. And I was like, you guys been smoking.
Somebody been smoking in here.
Yes. And they looked at me, and they were like, you're crazy. Nobody's been smoking. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So I get home, and I'm like just emptying out my bag real quick, because I'm like, I got to get to this show. And yo, that whole bag of weed fell out of my purse.
Oh, it was you that was smoking.
You was smoking, you didn't know it.
Man, and I don't know how I got through all these international airports. Shit wasn't legal yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you would have known you had it on you, you would have been
nervous.
Yeah,
you would have been bagged. Yeah, you would have got
paranoid, and that's all I could think of. I was like, that's probably why I made it through.
Yeah,
because I wasn't suspicious.
Exactly, you had no idea.
Oh my God.
Other than Chicago, you
would have been like Joel Santana on the run. They would have found that shit.
I wouldn't bring no damn blicky to the airport though. I know a little bit better than that shit. That was disappointing to me. I was like, I almost feel like that was a publicity stunt, because why would you do that?
Damn, to do a bid though? That's crazy.
It didn't help.
Yeah, that's a terrible publicity stunt then. Whoever talked them into it, slap yourself.
It didn't help at all.
Right, slap yourself. I'm sure that's not what it was, but like I just find it very hard to believe that he would have done something like that. I don't
know. He was using heavy drugs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He was probably under the influence.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. I didn't want to,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you have a favorite place touring has taken you?
So I'm dying to go overseas. I haven't gotten to go overseas yet, and I'm really bummed out because this whole fucking Panini panoramic pandemic bullshit canceled a couple of really big tours, and one of them, this would have been my first chance to go overseas.
Right.
So I've been to so many places, and it just bums me out because every time I'm supposed to have a show in Detroit, For some reason, whatever, I don't know if the flights there were expensive, but whatever artist I'm DJing for decides they don't want to spend the money for me to go to Detroit. And I'm like, damn it, that's my favorite place. All my favorite people are there, and I've never been. So I haven't been to Detroit yet, so I'm dying to get to Detroit.
There's a lot of dope artists in Detroit. I always said that there's a dope scene in Detroit, like a dope hip-hop underground scene in Detroit.
And, you know, and even into the mainstream side of things, you know, people don't give Detroit the credit it deserves. And even right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, Detroit is just, it's my favorite. If I give you the rundown of, the shirt that I'm wearing is Ty Farris. The hat that I had on is Ty Farris. He's definitely my newer favorite when it comes. He's got the underground on lock in Detroit.
Right.
But, you know, I guess what we would have considered, you know, underground would be, you know, Royce and stuff like that. So,
yeah. He's on your mixtape, right? If I may ask.
Ty Farris?
Yeah.
Ty is on everything I drop. When I tell you, I tell you he a few years back, he sent me his whole catalog. And I like, at the time I was rolling these fat ass blunts for this company. So I think I was sitting at my desk rolling blunts for literally like, it might've been like 28 to 30 hours. And
that was the job?
Oh my God. Yeah.
That
was the job.
Awesome.
Yeah. For real?
Where do I apply?
So
Blood used to roll all our blunts for free.
Yeah, for real.
It's funny because I used to on before I changed it to the Boston Baked Bitch on MySpace. I used to say that I was a professional blunt roller.
And you weren't lying.
Because nobody else can roll these specific ones the way I do it. I have a technique that nobody else could do it, so people would hire me to roll these blunts for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We gotta have a blunt rolling competition.
We gotta set that up.
Y'all don't want to get beat by
blunt
Beanz on that
rolling
one.
versus.
Yeah, for real. Versus.
But we gotta
because
have like
mine look pretty. They
know?
look pretty. They smoke good. Oh, honey, I've done this.
Oh.
I was on Be Real TV for years.
I
I've done
volunteered
this.
to be the judge.
Yeah, me too. I want to judge. I want to judge.
And you know we gotta have like one of the categories gotta be like rolling a blunt while you drive and shit. That's
This guy.
Hey,
Yo, no.
That is a whole skill in itself.
I was gonna say I don't know Beanz. I don't know your history and what you haven't done, but Brother Blood is an expert rolling while you drive. Rolling.
So you might end up beating me there because if it came to like a speed category, it would take me longer. But
okay.
I can still.
Quality,
this is mad funny.
Yeah.
I actually Money Miz. If you guys know who Money Miz is, shout out to Money Miz. He came out here a couple of years back, and he's a super hip hop head. He used to run this website called Hip Hop and BS. What's her name stole Donkey of the Week from him. That was his shit. He used to do that.
Charlamagne, no shit. Where?
Yeah. What's the shorty's name or whatever? See, why can't I think today? I need more coffee.
Angela Yee.
Yes.
Oh, Angela Yee. Yeah, I thought it was Charlamagne. My bad.
Yeah. So, they brought it over there for that, but they stole that from Miz. So that time I almost died was actually supposed to be my first ever interview with Miz.
Wow.
So that also got canceled over that. So anyway, so Miz was out here and Ghostface is his favorite rapper ever. So that night we decided we went to a Ghostface show with the homies. So, we're on stage and everything. It was the first time I seen Westside Gunn perform live because he popped up. Because we were backstage and like out the blue, Miz was like, yo, Gunn, is that you? And Westside Gunn is standing across from us like a bandana across his face. And Gunn was like, Miz, the fuck you doing in LA, dude? You everywhere. Because Money Miz is the one who put me on to Conway and Westside Gunn. So I wouldn't have even recognized him standing there like that. So we're standing on stage and there's this motherfucker who just kept on bumping me, but I'm rolling a blunt. So Miz he always brings this up and he's like, yo, I'll never forget Beanz rolling a fat ass blunt on stage while Ghostface was performing. Some dude kept fucking elbowing her. She almost hit him, and yet she still managed to roll the perfect blunt, standing there on stage one-handed. Nice. So,
yeah.
So we got to set up.
We got to set that up. We definitely got to set that up.
Right.
I'm down.
I'm down to judge.
Props to you, though. Props to you.
Yes. Shouts to you.
So, DJ Beanz, when did you get the idea to drop an album?
So, I've continued. So I'd say back in 2016 when I won that award for the R&B DJ, that same year, to make a long story short, Good Music shut me down. I said I would never put Drake or Kanye on a mixtape. I put All the Way Up on a mixtape because one of my fans begged me to do it, so I did it. Good Music shut me down, ripped out all my mixtapes. At that point, I lost like 400 mixtapes, and I lost motivation for a little bit.
Dang.
Wow.
So yeah. So
real quick, do you have
for,
any physicals of your mixtapes still? Any actual?
Not those ones.
Like
so,
hard copies.
Fuck.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
My bad. I ask you one question, then I ask you another question. But what do you have? What do you have? Exclusive.
So,
drop the exclusive noise.
That's me and my best friend's favorite shit. When I tell you, she's gonna be shout out to my girl Annette. Shout out to my girl Annette, because when she hears that, she's gonna call me and be like, So I don't have physicals of all those old ones except for like a couple of joints I dropped with DJ Deadeye. And they're bootleg shits that I burned at my house. They got like the label on it, might get stuck in your CD player type of shit. So I, unfortunately, at that point was only dropping them digitally. So I had no physicals. So when I tell you I got a little surprise coming, you guys will see. You guys will see.
Be on the lookout.
Yeah. So yes, and so just since I said that, just so y'all know, you got to pay attention because I got 2 surprises dropping in the very near future, and I'm not telling you when. So all of y'all tuned in.
Exactly.
You have no choice but to pay attention to me.
Exactly. Make sure you're following DJ Beanz to stay up to date on all these exclusives that are gonna drop.
Yes.
And a big boo this man to Kanye and Good Music for taking all these
we're gonna boo them.
Yeah, boo them.
Boo Kanye. And on top of that, I didn't even break any laws. That's the thing. I wasn't selling the shit. I wasn't giving the track away for free. I had cut on it. Fuck y'all. And that's basically why they shut me down, because they only took that one tape down. And then when I countered them and I was like, yo, I didn't break any laws, they were like, oh yeah, bitch, well, watch what we can do. And that's when they took all my shit down.
Yep.
So I was discouraged. I took some time off from doing mixtapes because it just had me so bummed out that I literally, I had a hard drive crash. So I barely had any of those. And we're talking, when I tell you, Eric Vanderslice, the producer, likes to argue with me all the time. Like, there's no way you drop 400 mixtapes. Yes, there is. Because I used to drop one a week. Plus, at the same time, I was dropping them with like independent artists and stuff like that. So there would be some months I would drop like 4 or 5 tapes. So we're talking, almost 8 years later. Yeah, you're damn right I have 400 mixtapes.
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up.
Right. So I took a little break, and at the time I was still DJing for Bishop. So we were working on his album. We had dropped the Pre-Formation. And then I was just discouraged. I stopped doing online radio. I was co-hosting at Be Real TV on Zulu Tribe Radio with Mark Love and Vicious Lee. Vicious Lee was Tupac's DJ. Mark Love was Farside's first DJ. So I'm up in there with some legends.
Yeah, some big
names. For real.
Yeah. So it gave me my little fix, but like I had left doing internet radio and all that stuff because I was so disappointed with hip hop, and I was just like, I was depressed. When I tell you I was down, I didn't even want to DJ anymore. And then I started DJing for J-Ro from the Alcoholics. So me and him would be doing shows all over California, and then I started DJing all like the festivals, all like the weed festivals and stuff like that. So then all these like OG artists like Big Twins and everybody like that, they're all coming out, and I'm starting to mingle with hip hop again, starting to get my little passion back. And then this is 2017. Miz puts me on to Conway, and he was like, Beanz, he was like, nah, you got to come back. Listen, I listened to The GOAT, and I was like, who the fuck is this? What is this fire? Look, again, chills again, because this is such a huge part of my career coming back through to where it is now. So basically, that's when I came across Griselda. It's when I started hearing Crime Apple. It's when I started coming across like Big Ghost and Bozak Morris. So lo and behold, I went to go do David Faustino, aka Bud Bundy. I went to go do his show with like Planet Asia, Raz, Kaz, and Bishop. And his program director, like, just all of a sudden comes running up the stairs to me and was like, yo, he walks past everybody, like Dave Navarro's in the room. He walks past everybody. Shout out to Darren. And he was like, Beanz, you ready to do your own show yet? And I was like, what? And he was like, you just say the word when you're ready. And I was like, that was dope. Okay, thank you. And this was at Dash Radio, which used to be like Ski TV. So did the show with David Faustino. Then I ended up, I DJ'd for like Rocky Tirade one night at the at the Elzai and Crisis show. Nice. David Faustino was there. He was like, he saw me DJ. He was like, you dope as fuck. You need to come do my show. So I went and did his show. Then all my motivation came back and I was like, okay, it's mixtape o'clock again. Mm-hmm. So I started dropping the tapes. I pick up Rain and Real and I start doing the radio show and all that. I'm dropping tapes. Then I meet Hus Kingpin. I did a Griselda set at a Sky Zoo show. I DJ'd to Sky Zoo one night and they had hired me to do a Griselda tribute set. So I did that. And when I got off the decks, Hus was like, he just looked at me and I had just met him. I didn't really know him like that. And he was like, damn, I didn't know you could DJ like that. And I was like, yeah, I get down. So to me, I knew who Hus was. And I'm like, all right, people in the underground are starting to recognize me. So from there, I started getting cool with Hus. So basically anything I would do for a while, I would run it by Hus because he's super critical and shit like that. And we were sitting there talking one day and I was just like, yo, what am I going to do when the tours and stuff slow down? Like mixtapes only make me but so much money. And at this point I just started dropping them on CD again. I didn't realize how many, CDs would be sold from collectors and stuff like that. So he was like, you need to drop an album, Beanz. And I was like, how? I'm not a producer. And he goes, neither is, started naming people. And I was like, ooh, I said, I could be the DJ Khaled of the underground. Mm-hmm. And he was like, exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's when it happened. And that's when he started pressing me. He was like, Beanz, get an album together. Just do it. So I was like, holy shit. You're right. I guess I don't need a producer for that. I don't need to be a producer for that. I can just reach out to people. Yeah. So Hus is the one.
What was the word you used at the beginning of the interview?
Composer. But I would say even more say a curator when it comes to this. So I mean, almost the same thing. But I would say more of a I would say more of a curator when it comes to this side of things. Mm-hmm. So yes. So the way this one came together was it's a little bit different. I just kind of reached out to people because I didn't have a big budget. So, I don't want to reach out to people and ask for stuff without, being able to offer anything. So, I kind of just hit up my closer friends first to let them know what I was doing. And, I'm like, how much for this or whatever. And every single person was like, Beanz, we got you. Uh-huh. And I was like, whew. So it was just really, really dope putting it together and the way it organically ended up falling together. Deadly Venoms, when I finally came up with that, I had been juggling names for a minute and then I was just like, nah, I'm going to take my favorites from the underground right now. And that's going to be it. Mm-hmm. So, I was super excited, like people like Ty and Ito and Boo Boo. And I had Ty, Ito and Boo Boo all in town on the same day. And I was like, oh, we going to Diggs' crib. Because like Ty and Diggs had to get some work done. I think Ito had to do some shit with Diggs. So I embraced that moment to be like, yo, let's do a joint called 36 Shots of Venom. 12 bars, no hook, 3 guys, just straight spitting. And they laid it down right then and there. And it was really, really dope. Because I didn't have Diggs on the album yet either. So it was really dope. That was the first song that I ever just, put together myself, like pieced together, pick the beat and 3 of my homies and favorite rappers all there. So it was really dope. So yeah.
Hey, DJ Beanz, that's production.
Yeah, that is production.
I guess it is.
Congratulations.
I guess it is. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And it was, an incredible feeling. Shout out to Martin at Copenhagen Crates. Because, I was talking to a couple other people that had reached out to me about releasing it on vinyl. But like, for me, I really like what he's been doing. He's got a great ethic. I've heard nothing but good about him, and just talking to him, I was like, oh yeah, definitely dropping with you for the first one. So I didn't anticipate it doing as well as it did, but like, I mean, I know I only dropped a couple hundred, but like the Obi strip sold out in 30 seconds and I was blown away. And then the rest sold out within, I think it was 3 days. So, oh my God, it was just such a good feeling. I just, I never thought that I would have my shit on wax.
Right.
So, the feeling was just incredible. So
do you keep a physical copy?
I'm framing that bad boy.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Congratulations. The album is Deadly Venoms. Everybody make sure you go out and stream it, right? Because I think you said it's sold out, or are there still physical copies available?
So I still have CDs available, and that's another little thing that I won't speak on right now, but just everybody pay attention, because if you fucked with Deadly Venoms, just pay attention.
Be ready, be ready.
It's a secret. I can't let the cat out of the bag on that one, but yes. So, unfortunately the vinyl's gone. I do have a couple of copies that I've been kind of saving for a special occasion for people. But one of the surprises I have coming just might include those being included in it. So
everybody be on the lookout. Like we said, make sure you're following at DJ_Beanz with a Z on Instagram. Make sure you go stream Deadly Venoms and be on the lookout for these announcements.
Sure, so I'm actually, and I'm working on the next one now. And when I tell you, I was going to do a Deadly Venoms too, but then I was having a conversation with one of the homies, and we were just talking about it. And like, he was like, yo, you need to watch that show, Queen of the South. I don't watch TV. So you know what I'm saying? He was like, nah, he was like, Beanz, watch this shit because she reminds me a lot of you.
Yeah. I can see it actually.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I am so amped that the next season just started right on time while I'm in the middle. So so the new album I decided to call Queen of the Underground and base it off of Queen of the South, because you know I'm hustling, but I'm hustling hip hop instead of these illegal substances. I don't do that anymore. I'm a good girl now. So so I decided to base it around that.
Nice.
So I've actually been putting this together for a minute now, and the progress that I've made at this point, when I tell you guys, it's gonna blow Deadly Venoms out of the water.
Dope. Like, are you using little clips from the show?
Definitely.
Nice.
Okay. We're
from that era of hip hop and mixtapes and dope intros, with movie snippets and
that cinematic.
That's my favorite shit. A dope intro on a mixtape, like a good 2-minute crazy intro. Oof.
I'm cutting you off. I'm gonna be rude and I'm gonna cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna call you out right now.
Here we go.
This means you haven't listened to my mixtapes, huh?
No, I did not. I only listened to the album.
What? So listen, I'm going to send you everything tonight.
Yes.
Because one of the things I pride myself on is my intros.
Oh, so please. Yes, please.
You have to hear my intros.
Why do you think I was having such a hard time finding the song for the intro of the episode? Because I was looking for a DMX mix and none of the ones I found were like up to par. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely want to hear that. If intros are your specialty, yes, please. If intros are your specialty, send them all, because that's my shit. If you get a dope intro on a mixtape, like old DJ Juice, DJ Dirty Harry especially, First Class, like them intros. Beanz, send that ASAP, please.
And I'm not trying to be cocky, but the reason I just got so excited about you saying that is because it's one of the biggest things to me. And I just told somebody yesterday, my favorite part is putting the intro together.
Yeah,
the last mixtape I dropped called Everybody Hates Beanz. You're going to piss yourself when you hear my intro and outro.
I look forward to it. Let me grab my pamper because I look forward to that shit. Word up. Intros.
Listen, I'll send you everything. I'll send you guys a whole pack.
Please.
Listen, I was going to say that. I guess I was on mute. I'm having an emergency, so I had to drive somewhere, but I was gonna say that, man. Not only are DJ Beanz' intros hot, her skits are fire. Them shits is funny as hell.
I heard. Actually, VS was telling me about the skits.
Yeah. I was definitely.
Yeah. There's one that they're talking about like Beanz for like because people are full of shit. You know what I'm saying? And like Beanz, whatever, make make fire. And then
I got the British girls singing Beanz, good for the heart.
Yeah. I was just gonna sing that.
And then that other one that your boy you was talking about, Money Miz, right?
Miz?
Is that his name? Yep. The skit that he got, he's talking about like these rappers and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, that's hilarious. That was funny.
That's just fire.
Fruity Pebble ass, fruitcake ass. Yo, that shit's hilarious. Yo, that was good.
Yep. So there's actually one of the surprises that I'm about to drop soon is another great example of it. It's going to ruffle some feathers on one of them.
Good.
I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. So I'll make sure, and I'll give you guys an advance on that too. Like, I don't know if you guys like CDs, but all of y'all DM me and I'll send you guys all a pack of all my mixtapes.
Love all that shit. Hell yeah.
Yeah, please. So yeah, so I'm very
thank you.
rude. I'm very rude for cutting you off.
No,
but,
no,
like,
no,
you
that's
just
okay.
amp me up on that one.
Trust me, I feel the same way. Like I said, intros are my shit.
Yeah.
On a mixtape,
Me
if
too.
your intro is whack, like I don't even want to hear the mixtape.
Thank you.
That's why I was always frowning upon like a DJ Clue or like, you know, these DJs that they would just start real basic, maybe with a freestyle, or it was just no mixing. It was just no like the chills. You know when you hear that intro and you're like, oh, this motherfucker got 7 beats playing with a siren and a movie sample and gunshots and a vocal sample playing and he chopping this other shit up and you're like, wow, how do you even think of these things? That's my shit.
So for me, so that's why now I'm really excited because the second we're done here, send me your email because I'm gonna send you everything.
Yeah.
Because when you hear the way I structure my mixtapes, and that's one of the reasons because I grew up on mixtapes. It's the reason I do what I do. So the fact that I used to beat people like Green Lantern and Lazy K on these little award lists was huge to me, and it humbled me because I'm like, oh my God, like those are my idols. So for me, when it comes to mixtapes, people yell at me all the time because I used to talk a little bit of shit on it, but people would be like, yo, we want to hear your voice. And I'm like, yeah, but I want people to hear the music. So for me, I don't do the bang, 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 bang. You'll hear some gunshots and shit. If it's really like, if it's a fucking shot, yeah, I'm gonna let off a gunshot at my shit. But I'm very minimal with my drops because you'll hear, especially the last 2 mixtapes, Get a Job and Everybody Hates Beanz. It's all the way that I blend and transition. That's what I pride myself on because it just all runs so smoothly together that like there might be a song you don't even like and you're going to end up listening to it because it just works. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's why I say that, I'm a curator because my process just for that part alone is so long.
Yeah, no, I already look forward to it. Because I can imagine, like, I just remember dope DJs. They'll give you the dope intro, then they might add like a movie skit to kind of like bring it down a little, and then they'll just throw some crazy fire shit after. You'd be like, oh shit! And back then it was physical tapes, so you'd be like, yo, rewind that intro. Let me stay on the intro for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
it's got that grimy feeling. It's got that grimy feeling, like kind of when you listen to like a Griselda album. You know what I'm saying? That is all uniform and it's all grimy.
Yeah, when it's
and
seamless,
the skits
like
and
that,
everything go together. Yeah,
it sets the mold for your whole project.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. And I thoroughly agree with you. So that is my favorite part. And when I tell you, when you hear these tapes, I'm like super excited for you to hear my shit
for sure.
because
me too.
that amps me up. So for me, it's my favorite because when I tell you guys the way I search when I'm searching for clips, that's why I come up with the craziest shit because the way I switch my words up, I come across some wild, oh my goodness.
Or tell me if you're like this,
we tapping in.
You'll be watching a movie or whatever, a show, or commercial even, and you'll just hear some shit and you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna chop that. Or you can't even finish watching the movie because you're there with the idea like, man, fuck this movie. I'm gonna go take this straight to the lab, to Serato, whatever, and start chopping shit up, bro.
You're speaking to my soul right now because I was going to show you. I was just about to show you, but I can't show you the whiteboard because there's some info on there that can't be out.
No worries.
But I have an entire whiteboard that is all, it literally says the show, season, episode.
The timestamp. Yeah. I have that in notes. Like movie, time. Yeah, hell yeah. That's
I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna use this.
As a fan and as a listener, that's little shit you appreciate when you like really go into the because again, we come from an era where things lasted longer. So you would listen to shit a lot. And with a dope mixtape, you'll listen to it like on the 6th listen and you'll be like, oh shit, I never heard that in the background. They added this. Oh, that's crazy.
You remember this earlier when you came in and I asked you about Dude that you played at the Love Song of the Week?
Yeah, Bobby.
Exactly, because when I heard that, I was like, "Yo, I got to use this."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's instant inspiration to the point that you can't even enjoy whatever you were enjoying. Like it might have been a dope movie and you was into it, but you hear the little clip and you're like, "Yo, that's a whole mixtape I'm gonna make just from this inspiration."
Cinema, I'm gonna make it cinematic.
Exactly.
Real shit.
I got a question for you. Beanz. Who does the production on 5 Deadly Venoms? Is it all different producers or is it one cat?
Yep. So it's all different producers. So
Yeah.
the way that Deadly Venoms happened is literally that's why the only song that I curated completely by myself was that 36 shots of Venom. Everybody else I kind of hit up along the lines of, hey, do you have anything in the stash? You know, because I like I said, I didn't have a budget, so I didn't want to ask people to, you know, go to the studio and record something new for me. Now, some people definitely did that.
Right.
But now, for example, the Terminology track on there means so much to me because Term,
That's a dope
of
track.
course, yo,
That is
and
a
he
dope
is
track.
that is the homie. So listen, when I
Right.
hit him up, oh my God, like I got chills just because it touched my heart so much. He was like, Beanz, he goes, I have this song that is my favorite. He goes, and it was supposed to go on the last album and it just didn't fit. And it's killing me because I don't know where I'm going to put it. He was like, I'm going to give it to you.
Nice.
So the fact that Term handed me over something that was like his favorite,
His favorite,
shit,
yeah.
it meant so much to me. And that joint is one of my favorites on
That
there
track
too.
I've
Shout out
heard,
to the
like
homie Term.
I'm familiar with Term's work, and on that track, I've never heard Term like that. I've never heard him like that. Like he sounded antsy, like angry, like he was. Yo, I've never heard him like that on a track. Never.
Yeah, that was
Hungry,
aggression.
hungry.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
right,
I've never
right.
heard him that aggressive on a track. Usually he's laid back, chill, calm. He gets his words across real smooth. This one, he was like attacking the beat. Yo, it was crazy.
He was not fucking around.
Nah, yeah, it was different.
You know, yes. So there was that one, and then now Negocios. So Negocios, which is the Boo Boo track with Ito and my boy Hex Luther. So Boo Boo had actually put that out on one of his projects that it just didn't get enough traction. And that song to me, I was like, you know, normally I wouldn't put something that was already out on an album.
Right.
But in this case, I was like, I need to because it is so fire. The way Ito and Boo Boo just run off of each other. Hex is on the beat and he comes in and does his thing. And I was just like, yo, I was like, do me a favor and take this off of everything. Let's put it on the album because this shit needs to get more traction. Like this isn't something that I need to just put on a mixtape.
Right.
So I edited it up a little bit because it had, you know, I switched it up a little and I put that on there.
That's
So
a dope
that one
track,
was
too.
already out, and then Scratch and Sniff with Ito and Tricky Trips. So
That's one of my
another
favorite
one.
track too.
Yeah,
I like that track too.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
So shout out to Jay. You know, you ain't in my class who we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, big shout
You know,
out to the homie
he's our
Jay.
manager
Shouts to
at,
him.
He
at New
connected
Crack Era.
us. Shout out to Boo Boo. He connected us with Boo Boo. He'll be up on the show soon. And shout out to Jay
Yep.
Black. He'll be up on the show soon
Yep.
too.
All
Shout
them.
out to the
So
whole crew.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jay is actually the one who was like, thank you, appreciate that too, by the way. New Crack Era, baby.
Absolutely.
So Jay is the one who was like, yo, Beanz, there's this song from Ito that dropped and got no play. Like when I tell you, when I did a search for it and I found it, the shit had less than a couple hundred views on YouTube. And I was like, yo, we got to take that down.
Yeah.
I was like, take that shit down. 'Cause
Sometimes the
let's put it
timing,
on the
bro.
album.
Yeah, timing. Yeah.
We had a long
All about
discussion
it.
on our last episode about the
timing,
importance
yeah.
of timing.
Timing
and
is
You
important.
know, you can have the most fire song, but if you drop it and the timing is wrong, like you said, it's going to be less than
I
a
think
couple hundred.
timing is one of the most underrated aspects of anything, basically, that you want to do.
Because it's
Facts.
unpredictable almost.
Yeah,
You know
that's what I mean. So it's very underrated. Like people, like overlook it. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that happens too. That's stuff that you learn because it's so hard when you drop something at the beginning of the year, it gets lost in the matrix.
yes.
Exactly.
So that's why for me, I'll be honest with you, like Deadly Venoms for me, I felt like, I'm like, that shit fizzled out. That was the first one to put together, to compile an EP that wasn't a producer. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm not the first one ever, but you know, that year.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I see everybody else putting out all these EPs that are still kind of getting talked about, but I'm like, you know what though? People still hit me up on a regular basis about Deadly Venoms,
Yeah.
you know,
That
in
was dope.
DMs and stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that's all that matters to me. I don't need as long as I know people are still loving and enjoying it,
Yeah.
that's all I care about. But it also showed me, when it comes to mixtapes, I don't care as much. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a mixtape. But when it comes to the album shit, that's why I'm actually glad with the way this one's coming together. It's taken so long because originally I was hoping to drop in May, but the way it's looking, I'm going to aim for July. But that's actually perfect because it's not easy to drop 2 albums a year. I'll tell you, not full length albums. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
Well-
full length, not an EP.
You know what it is? You are from the era where, for one, albums lived longer, and for two, you took your time to make an album.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
just
yeah.
these
Right.
kids dropping, and no disrespect to these kids or whatever. Get your hustle on, get your money on. But they drop 7 albums a year, and you can listen to it and tell, like, no
Yeah.
shit, nigga, if you're putting that out, duh.
Yeah.
But when
And you could have just put one full length album out instead.
You
Like,
could have took your time and made one dope album.
Exactly.
And
Right.
you are of that cloth that you're gonna take your time and make that shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's gonna live.
You're gonna get all this genius.
Hell yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That's why I be cussing Huss out all the time because he's like, just drop. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna just drop to drop. Like, nah, it's gotta be perfect. Because even then, like, Deadly Venoms, even with the being tracks that for the most part, other than like the J Black joint and a couple other ones that were recorded, for the album. Even then it took a long time because I got some tracks sent to me that just didn't fit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So just because, these tracks are being sent back, they still got to make sense. So like I said, for me, being a curator, a composer is very important to me because sequencing will make or break a project.
Absolutely.
And as a DJ, you know how to keep that
momentum,
momentum
going,
that
yeah.
tempo of the
Yeah.
album, and when to slow it up and when to bring it back.
For
hype.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Because you can fuck up the whole thing just by putting 3 songs out of sequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy.
It's
Yeah.
easy to
Easy.
turn an ear off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Absolutely.
To lose an ear, real
Yeah.
easy.
Definitely.
The name of the new project, Queen of the Underground,
Yep.
and we're looking for June 2021. Which one?
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I'm gonna probably say it's probably gonna be closer to July because although it's a lot of it's done, this is an album that when I tell you I'm going to take my time on the rollout because when I tell you how proud I am, I mean, this got to be my opus. Like when I tell you I'm almost scared I'm gonna get rich or die trying myself with this one because I'm going to have to keep up. Because that's what I did not want to do with the first one,
Also, we might be outside for this one.
The most grinding DJ gotta,
Yeah, we'll probably be outside.
Prove it again,
COVID will,
Yes.
It'll be popping. And people go
Yep.
back and listen to Five Deadly Venoms when they
sure.
discover
For
that
sure.
one. You know what I mean?
Because,
Exactly.
as a matter of fact, Blood, Conway is performing in Ybor City tonight, so I'm jealous as fuck. I almost hopped on a flight.
There's a rainstorm outside right now. It's bad, man. It's bad.
Oh, word? Oh, yeah.
man,
Stay
but
inside. Don't go outside.
I know what you were about to say. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you were about to say.
That fool survived the bullet to the head. You think some rain gonna stop him?
Look, so
God bless
he
him
called
too,
me,
man. Damn.
And he ain't let COVID stop it either. He called me into the studio to listen from A King to a God before it came out.
Yeah,
Like all the other,
during
like,
COVID,
DJs and
they
shit,
like
so.
stepped it up.
Yeah. They capitalized on COVID.
Again,
And I
That was
sure
dope.
did.
Mm-hmm.
I sure did go to that studio and tap the bottle with everybody. I
as
don't give
you
a fuck.
should. Hell yeah.
It's gonna take more than COVID to take this bitch down. I
I
promise you that.
wanted to ask you about your tattoo. Yeah, that shit is official.
Yo.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send you guys a picture that I haven't dropped yet because I know you guys saw it from my last shoot. It's really funny because this tattoo has such a deep meaning to me.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that hate on me for it. And that makes me love it even more because fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say something. First of all, people are like, oh, she must have fucked him because I will never tattoo a man I fucked on my skin. I don't care how good he can rap, okay?
Yeah.
First of all. Second of all, bringing up Dave New York again. This is one thing I used to love so much is people used to say to him, why do you have so many tattoos? Your body's a temple. And he said, have you ever been to a temple?
Yeah.
Do you see the art that they paint on temple walls and on the windows?
Exactly.
So I've always gone with that. So for this, I've been dying to get a sleeve. And this is also, this kind of falls into my mixtape, the Get a Job tape too, because shout out to and RIP to my boy Roach. He was one of Nipsey's, he was one of Nipsey's proteges, dope ass tattoo artist. He did my joint on the back. And I had been dying to do a sleeve, but I just couldn't think of where I wanted to start. I couldn't think of it. And then it dawned on me that Conway's music legitimately saved my life because in that time that I was telling y'all that I was depressed and all that shit, let me just tell you, my baby cousin had OD'd on heroin after she admitted to me at my dad's funeral she was hooked. The DJ shit wasn't going where I wanted it to. I'm getting so deep in the industry at that point. I'm seeing what's really going on, and It was a lot. It was heavy. And I was depressed. And when I tell you, I would wake up every day like, yo, I could get hit by a car today and I'd be cool with that. And that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But anybody who's ever, experienced those feelings, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So it just dawned on me one night and I was laying here and I was like, yo, Conway's music saved my fucking life. And initially brought me into everything that I've been doing, from DJing to Benny, Ito, when I DJ'd for Crime, what DJ for Spesh and Shay. And I'm like, this all came from Conway.
Right.
And I said, on top of that, when I first reached out to Conway, just to tell him that his music brought me out of that depression, I hadn't met him yet. He hit me back so quick and he was like, yo, that's the dopest shit anybody's ever said to me. I really appreciate that. And I could tell it was genuine. So, I was paying attention to him. I could see the pain in that man's eyes and shit like that when he would talk. And I'm like, yo, he got up out the fucking hospital bed after he got shot and recorded GOAT.
Yeah.
One of the greatest albums he's ever dropped. You feel me? So his strength to me, just in what he's done in these past few years, was enough for me to be like, I'm real big on honoring legends while they're alive. And the meaning behind this tattoo meant more than anything. Right. So I hit up Roach and I said, bro, I'm ready to get this sleeve started. Let's fucking go. So I hit up Con and I was like, yo, I said, I know this probably sounds crazy. I was like, but you got like a high def picture of your reject face because I want to tattoo it on me. And he was like, are you serious?
And had you met him at this point?
So here's another thing. Here, let me tell you why, another reason I love Con so fucking much. So I told him, I said, yo, next time you're in LA, we need to smoke a blunt and I want a hug. And he was like, Beanz, I got you, I promise. So he had been running all over the place, didn't have time for shit. So one morning he hits me up and was like, yo, I'm gonna be in your area. I promise you we're gonna smoke. I'm gonna stop by real quick. So he comes by with one of the homies. It's 11 in the morning. We're fucking smoking blunts. We're drinking Hennessy. And he was like, yo, I'm mad late for my session. And I was like, where you supposed to be? And he was like, Alchemist crib. I said, get the fuck out of here. Go. Yeah. And he was like, Beanz, I promised you that I would smoke a blunt with you and come give you a hug the next time I was in LA. So I had to do that. And I was just like,
man of his word.
Wow.
Man of his word right there.
Real shit. So we listened to fucking War Report, smoked a couple blunts, hit the Hennessy, and then he went, I don't know what he recorded that day, but either way, he was, he was late. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not going to get Con in trouble. Alchemist he ain't coming at me. He ain't coming at me.
You'll be all right.
But it's the simple fact that he's such a man of his word that, you feel me? Like every time he's in town now, I don't ask. Yeah. I just get a text or a DM that will be like, Beanz, you on the list tonight. You know what I'm saying? I DJ'd for Benny and Benny don't even do that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's right, Benny. That's right, Benny. Your cousin put me on the list. I'm good. But yeah. So with the tattoo, when I finally decided to do it, it was not supposed to be this big. But when he sketched it out, I said, fam, you killed that shit. Let's go. And this shit took a couple of sessions, And what's dope about it is it wasn't even done yet when I DJ'd for the first time for Ito. And it was really crazy because everybody there was super hyped about the tattoo and shit like that. And I was the first one to get a Conway tattoo. So, that ended up being really big. And just very recently, this is funny because my homie, Daniel Leviathan from San Diego, he's the one that he throws all the underground shows in San Diego. So he books me every time. And that's how I ended up, becoming a DJ for Spesh. That's how I became Ito's DJ and shit like that. And he was like, Beanz, he was like, yo, do you think it would be fucked up if I got the same tattoo in the same spot? And I said, yo, that's your body. I said, shit is Con. I said, do your thing. Yeah. So personally, I think you should go to my tattoo artist if you do it. And he was like, nah, I'm going to go to my own. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he got the same one. So we went to a couple of years ago. Griselda, they were all down here. They had a pop up at Apartment 4B out here in LA, and so I went there to go see him. And Daniel was in line and he had gotten his tattoo. So when I went inside, I was like, "Hey, Con," I said, "Dude in the line has the same tattoo as me." He said, "What?" He said, "Go get him." So I went and I got him, and we all took a picture. And they posted it up on the Drumworks page. And I'll never forget because I literally, right after I seen this shit, I totaled my car. I got into a bad car accident a few weeks ago. Wow. And right before I pulled out of the gas station, I pulled something up on the Drumworks shit. And there were mad people talking shit about me, calling me a groupie and shit because I got a tattoo. Yeah, of course. Didn't have nothing to say to dude. Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? y'all, and people can think what they want, but it's my body.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like I said, rest in peace. Roach ended up dying during the pandemic, and now I'm like, I don't know that I trust anybody else to hit my sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
R.I.P.
Yeah, man.
And not one last question, because I want to ask you two questions actually. A quick question: what was Conway's reaction when he saw it, or when you showed it?
Yo, he hit me up. He said, "Damn, Beanz." He said that shit came out dope. So when I seen him in real life, he grabbed my arm and he goes, "Beanz, why did you do that?" And I told him exactly why. And he's a passionate dude. Yeah, he is passionate, and you could just see how much he appreciated that. And like, I started seeing him, you know, he would be talking in interviews and stuff, and I knew he was referring to me because he'd be like, you know what, people are getting my tattoo, me tattooed on him, and he would like rub his arm, and I'm like, and so he knows, like, you know, I was the first one to do it, and then I started seeing mad people doing it. Mad people getting West tattoos and shit like that. And I'm like, see, like, you know, it's just because I'm a female that I'm the one getting the shit for it. But shout out. You can tell he was honored.
Shout out to Conway, because I feel like
situation. Huh? You know what I mean? It's not really a fan thing in your situation. It's more, there's a deeper meaning to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I feel like, and that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, you know, and I ended up putting a whole post about it on Instagram because I was like, you know what, I want to tell my story on it, and whether you read it or not, feel free. But every time I look at this tattoo, I know this motherfucker saved my life, and he really brought me to where I'm DJing now just through his music. So, you know, I'll be 90 years old drinking my fucking wine out of a box, like back in my day. You know, like
this guy right here.
I'm sure he's gonna look like this. I'm gonna be all wrinkled and stuff, you know. But
shout out to him though, man. And I know he appreciates that.
Oh man,
that love, you know, that connection.
So genuine. Yeah. It's so genuine, and I know he did. I seen it in his eyes. Like he's just. And that made me love him even more, because I'm like, yo, your music is so dope, and you are one of the most stand-up people that I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, more important.
Such a good dude.
Yeah, exactly. More important.
And I feel like he's been there. You know what I mean? Where you were, where we've all been.
Yep.
That dark place. I mean, shit, I can imagine he's been there more than once.
Shit, in the helmet.
Right.
Exactly.
And I mean, because he's got money, I mean, listen to me. I say all the time, anybody who can listen to the Cow and not feel something is emotionless as fuck. Because the Cow, if you can't hear that man's pain, and also on Proud of Me, produced by Crisis. That is another one, like, that's up there with the Cow for me. That's why when Khan hits those emotional tracks, you know that shit is fucking real. Yeah. So just because he's rich and all that, like, you know, doing what he's doing, it doesn't. He probably still feels that shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because he is a passionate ass dude.
Regardless of whatever, he's still a human being.
Exactly.
And one final question, DJ Beanz. Other than the Queen of the Underground album, what else can we look forward to that you can announce?
Yeah, so we got Everybody Hates Beanz season 2 is getting ready to drop. Okay. I'm working on that right now, actually. So this one, you'll see when I send you Everybody Hates Beanz, I kind of did a different concept with this one. And on the back cover, it's like a can of beans, and it says freshly picked beans, and they're all like, you know, my newer choices. Because most of my mixtapes, I love to mix in a little bit of older stuff and the newer stuff. But recently, it's just been so much new fire out. I haven't even had to mix it like that. So I called the second part of the tape Baked Beans, because they have a good shelf life. And I did a set on Soul Assassins Radio. Yes, exactly. Because I'm the Boston Baked bitch, so it's only right to have some Boston Baked Beans in there, you know? But I did a set on Mug Show on Soul Assassins Radio a couple of years ago. And I'll never forget, it took me so long to get this mix done because I was so nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when I did it, I fucking killed it. And I'm like, damn, this needs to be out. Right. So I put it on the tape. So, you know, it's a set that I did on the Soul Assassins Radio joint, but it's like, it's stuff that came out, you know, like 2017, 2018, that a lot of people, same shit that got overlooked. So, so now for Everybody Hates Beanz season 2, the Baked Bean side is actually going to be a producer tribute. Because like I said, I really like to honor people while they're alive. And especially that I feel like people that got overlooked a lot. So I'm not going to say who the producer is yet. But so this one's going to have a nice little producer tribute on there. It's going to be dope.
Awesome.
Dope.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
No doubt. Looking forward to that.
Thank you for being
Thank you,
here,
too.
DJ Beanz. Really quickly, let's get into the love song of the week. So every week,
10 shots. 10 shots.
no. We're gonna switch the order. Here's what happened. I had a love song picked, but then as I was doing my research, and the love song I picked is a little sad, so we're gonna play it at the end of the show. As I was doing my research, and I saw that DJ Beanz got her career, or her introduction in the Tampa house scene. There's this like house song that I've been listening to fucking all week because I swear this shit gets me mad soon.
Oh, that's what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So this is going to be the love song of the week. Brother F got that queued up. It's an artist named Dev. I have no idea from where. I have no idea how I even got her album in my shit. It's a song called Breathe. The album is called The Day the Night Ended or The Day the Night Came. I don't know. This is Dev. This is the loves. Oh, so DJ Beanz, every week we'll pick a song that's like less hip hop and more like, damn, that shit made me feel something. You know what I mean? Whatever the feeling is. Maybe it made you sad. Maybe it made you super happy.
Yeah.
This fucking song gets me souped.
For real. This guy came in gas today.
Some house shit to take DJ Beanz back to her roots.
Let's
It's
go,
Dev.
baby.
This is called Breathe. Brother F, blast that off for us. VSOP. VSOP is going to ask you 10 rapid fire questions. Just answer them with minimal thought, and then we'll.
I'm so bad with this kind of
reconnect in the
shit.
end.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
gonna
We'll
be
go
terrible.
back. Just
Whatever
go.
comes to your mind.
Yeah, whatever comes off the top, and then we'll go back and talk about it real quick. All right, so 10
Okay.
shots with VSOP, like the brother Burnz just explained. These are just quick questions based on today's interview and previous episodes that we've had on the show. All right, here we go. Number 10. Better DJ, in your opinion, Primo or DJ Babu?
That's rude. Two completely different entities. Go.
All right, we'll go to number 9 then. We'll skip that one. Number 9, Static Selector, J Dilla.
You're being rude. I'm gonna go, but Static. I'm going with Static.
You going
go.
with Static? All right,
Static. Let's go.
Number 8, Boys in the Hood, Juice or Menace to Society?
Juice.
There
It's
we
got
go.
the DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. The DJ element, I forgot. Number 7, better era in hip hop, 80s, 90s, or 2000.
Oh shit. 90s.
All right, cool. Number 6, Wu-Tang
As I
or
expected.
Tribe Called Quest.
Wu-Tang.
All right, no doubt.
Gambino.
God.
Number 5, D-Block, Dipset or G-Unit.
D-Block.
Ooh, gangster.
Number 4, Lauryn Hill, Mary J. Blige.
Mary.
All right, no doubt. Number 3, The Chronic or 2001.
2001.
All right, cool. Number 2, Big L or Big Pun.
Huh. I hate you guys. Big L.
Big L, no doubt. And the one
Big
that
L.
started it all, who's the best MC, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas?
Oh, I hate this question. It's my least favorite question, and I always refuse to answer it. I refuse.
Okay, we got our first refusal.
All good.
You don't
And that's
argue. You don't argue with the first
I don't-
And
lady
you know
of
what?
the new
I'm going to be
cracker.
honest with you. It's only because that has been brought to me so many times that I literally tell people I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that I hate that the three of them are compared like that.
Well, we actually
feel you,
that
bro.
was actually our first episode.
Yeah, that is
Really?
that is the eternal hip hop debate.
Yeah.
Till,
That was fire.
You know,
because
to
that
all
was,
of us.
That's hard. That's hard questions to answer.
Yeah.
Till our generation moves on.
Yeah, exactly.
That will always rage.
That's
on.
gonna be the argument.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And as you guys see, like, I like to talk. So that's why for me, like, you know, with the Primo and Babu, I don't want to answer that because let's be honest, like, it's Primo.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I feel like certain people are not allowed to be compared anymore.
Right.
So Primo's one of them. Pete Rock's one of them. Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, Pac, now DMX as well.
And I'll be
He's
honest,
always kind of been one to me, but like, let's not compare them to people.
and I'll be honest, one of the reasons why I chose Primo and Babu is because both of them are crazy technicians at scratching. Like, their scratching techniques are ridiculous.
But let's be honest, though, when it comes to Babu, that's where this was hard for me because as a producer, Primo got it.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
if you want to be real when it comes to the cutting,
Babu
got it. So that's the problem. So now, are you asking as a producer or as a DJ? Because that is still hard for me.
I said at the beginning, I said better DJ, Primo.
You did.
Babu, yeah. Okay, no
That's a trick question, though. That's a trick question.
And there are no wrong answers.
There is no wrong answer.
You're right. So, I mean, I guess if I would have to say it then, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to go back, but if I would really have to say it, I'm going to have to say Babu.
Okay.
Fair enough. DJ Beanz,
but
once again, thank you
feel
for
like
being
I'm
on the show.
disrespectful for that.
No,
not at all.
It's all good.
Thank you for being on the show.
I love you, Primo.
I'm pretty sure he won't take any offense to that. To you know,
we all love
chosen
Primo.
over Babu.
I think didn't I shit on Primo one episode?
You probably did. You're a Primo
I'm a
hater.
tough critic.
Yeah, you are.
You shit on everybody, man.
DJ Beanz, thank you for being on the show. We look forward to the Queen of the South. We look forward to Everybody Hate Beans Volume 2.
Yes.
We look forward Season 2, excuse me. We look forward to seeing you. I know you're gonna be on tour again soon. Any other projects you got coming out? The album, when you drop some videos, I'm sure they're gonna be dope. So we look forward to all that. Everybody, make sure you're following at DJ _Beanz on Instagram.
DJ Beanz.
And what was the other one?
It's Holla at Beanz on Twitter. You know, I got that from State Property. That's my tag. Holla at Beanz.
There you go. that was Blood's favorite movie.
Facts.
Stay props.
Word.
State Prop 2. Yup.
Shout out to Brother F and Straight Fuego Studios for always providing us.
It was Angie Martinez was Friday, wasn't she? I can't remember.
No,
Maybe she was Tuesday.
She was Tuesday.
Yeah.
She was Tuesday. She's like, it's Tuesday. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Angie.
Yeah.
Love
Beanz,
Angie.
you got any shout outs?
I don't want to forget anybody, so I'm not, you know, of course, shout out the New Crack Era fam. We under rebranding and all of that stuff, but there's too many people, don't want to leave them out. So I'm going to say shout out to y'all, because this was a very dope interview. I love being asked things that, you know, I'm not randomly asked. So, you know, I want shout out you guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on here.
We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Like we said earlier, shout out to the brother Jay Rios for connecting us. Shout out to the brother Mo Green. He's doing a lot of stuff, networking behind the scenes and showing us a lot of love.
Absolutely. Shout
out to them. Word.
Brother
word,
BS, you got to sign off?
You know what it is. BS to the OP here. You know, Great American Hip Hop Debate, episode 60, man. 60 big joints, baby.
60 joints in 2 years in a few days.
Yeah, man. Shouts, of course, shouts to DJ Beanz. Thank you again for joining us. Much continued success on all your projects.
Absolutely.
And all your
Thank
endeavors.
you so much.
Know what I'm saying? Shouts to our boy, you know what I'm saying? Our location, as always, Big Blood. You know what it is.
AKA Tampa Blood.
Tampa Blood, for sure.
You know how we do Tampa Bay all day?
Talk the Bucks!
Drinking Tanqueray in Tampa Bay.
This guy.
Shout out to you, DJ Beanz. I'm a Giants fan anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Giants fan. But you're the second female on our show. We so appreciate you so much. You the shit. We checking for your new project. Make sure everybody go check that Dirty Scales off that Everybody Hates Beans project. That track is crazy with the Wild Cowboys beat slowed up off the Fugees album, and then off the Five Deadly Venoms. Make sure you catch that Influential Friends. I really like that track.
Ooh, the Bub Rock joint.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That shit
yes.
crazy.
Shout out to Bub
It's
Rock.
a crazy story on it. Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
I'm feeling
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, you definitely
Shout
listen.
to you.
I wanted him to do Influential Friends too for this next joint, but Bub is in a little bit of a retirement stage right now. So hopefully that shout out I'm gonna play it for him. Let's see if we can get him out of retirement.
There you
Say
go.
no more.
We all
go check for
semi-retire once in a while, and
Once
then
in a
that
while,
bug
yeah.
comes back.
Don't we all?
This I think that's it, right? Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to the sponsor.
Oh, and shouts to Hus Kingpin. I see you got him on a lot of your projects. I fucked with Hus Kingpin ever since he came out and shit. So like,
And Smooth, me and Smooth just
Fib,
dropped
yeah.
an entire.
Yeah.
Me and Smooth dropped the Conduit, and just real quick, I know I've been talking y'all's ears off all
Nah,
day,
nah,
but the
you good.
reason it's called the Conduit is because Smooth and Hus had a group back in the day
Yeah.
called The Connection.
Yeah.
So if you know, you know.
Yeah,
so shout out
for
to
sure.
Smooth,
Yeah,
shout out to
yeah.
Hus.
Say no
You
more.
know.
Hus
Yep.
dropped an album, like an EP a few years ago, Cocaine Beach. That's one of my favorite projects, man. I love that shit.
One of the best with
Yeah.
Big Ghost.
Yep.
Oof.
Yeah. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Burnz.
absolutely. Shout out to all of them, and
Yeah, man.
everybody. Make
And
sure you go listen
I
to
do
these projects. Listen to
I
these
do a
albums.
skit on his Slime Wave album, and that's one of my new favorite albums from him too. So if you haven't heard Slime Wave,
Okay.
that is a really good Hus album.
gonna
It
go
shows
check
his
it out.
versatility. It's got a Wu-Tang vibe to it.
Okay, for sure.
Definitely
Say no
check that out.
Yeah, there you go.
If it got the Wu-Tang vibe, I'm
There you
on it. Episode 60, y'all. Thank
know
you,
what it is.
to all the listeners for checking in. Thank you to DJ Beanz. Thank
Yes.
you to my co-host. Thank you to Brother F. Episode 60, and we're ending the show off with just a song for DMX, yo.
Yeah,
Love
for
for
sure.
DMX.
Rest in peace to
R.I.P.
DMX, man.
R.I.P.
Got that tuned up. As always, listeners, chin up, chest out,
Dearest.
carry yourself with honor, carry yourself with pride. Somebody hit my music.
I have trouble accepting the fact that you're gone, so I won't. It'll be like we went for a while without seeing each other.
I'ma just and love to his friends and families from the Great American Hip Hop Debate Podcast. This is episode 60. Thank y'all for tuning in.
We out.
Peace.